In this video, we will discuss the plot of the historical action series titled Chiefs of War. Taken from a true story, this series recounts the bloody conflict between four kingdoms in the Hawaiian Islands. In the midst of this situation, a great warrior must face heavy challenges to restore order. Before we get to the plot, I want to remind you that this content contains full spoilers. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Without further ado, let's get right into the story. In the late 18th century, the Hawaiian Islands consisted of four unified kingdoms. According to an ancient prophecy, these four kingdoms would eventually be united by a figure dubbed the Great King. The story then shifts to the Kauaian kingdom. On that day, the family led by Kayana is hunting fish in the Kauai Sea territory. After preparing the poison, Kayana dives and confronts his target fish, which turns out to be a shark over 2 meters long. Afterward, Kayana's family brings their catch back to the village for food. It is revealed here that every kingdom in the Hawaiian Islands lives as a tribe holding firmly to ancient customs. During rest time, Kayana chats with a small child. It turns out Kayana was a chief in the Maui kingdom. However, Kayana left his position when he moved to the Kauai kingdom as an ordinary man. Soon after, Kayana talks to his wife Kupuohi. Kupuohi wants to have a child, but Kayana is not ready yet. Afterward, Kayana is approached by an envoy from the Maui kingdom. From their conversation, it is revealed that Kayana is the son of Maui's war commander, and besides being a chief, Kayana was once an elite member of the Maui royal forces. Now Kayana is branded a traitor since he moved to the Kauai kingdom. Kayana was spared the death penalty thanks to a pardon from the king of Maui. At the end of the meeting, Kayana accepts an invitation from the king of Maui. To avoid trouble, Kayana and his family travel to the Maui territory. Prince Kupule then escorts Kayana's family to the king of Maui, who is waiting in the soldiers area. Upon arrival, Kayana is nearly hit by a spear thrown by Nui. Apparently, Nui took this action to avenge Kayana's betrayal. By order of the king, Kayana duels Nui. Without much difficulty, Kayana manages to subdue Nui, even though Nui is very strong. After the duel, Kayana's family receives a warm welcome from Kahekili, or Kahichi, who is the king of Maui. It turns out Kahiki greatly respects Kayana's late father because during his life as a war commander, Kayana's father repeatedly saved Maui. Afterward, Prince Kupule conveys Kahiki's reason for inviting Kayana. According to Kahiki's trusted prophet, the Maui people will be enslaved by the Ahu kingdom. As it turns out, the king of Ahu is controlled by a dangerous figure we'll call the Master. Reportedly, the Master plans to take over the Maui kingdom. This is why Kahiki wants to go to war against Oahu to foil the Master's plan. Furthermore, according to his prophet, Kahiki can only defeat Oahu if he brings Kayana as an ally. Nevertheless, Kayana refuses to become Kahiki's ally because he doesn't want to be involved in war. The next day, Kayana takes his family somewhere while chatting. It turns out Kayana left Maui because he was fed up with Kahiki's greedy and selfish attitude. Upon arrival, Kahiki shows Kayana the body of his father, which the Maui forces managed to recover. It turns out Kayana's father died tragically after being sacrificed by the Master for a ritual. After revealing this, Kahiki tries again to convince Kayana to join the fight against Oahu. Kahiki then assures him that their alliance is the first step toward uniting the four kingdoms. While reflecting alone, Kahiki is approached by Tala, the Kahiki's trusted prophet. Tala hints that Kayana will play a big role in realizing the union of the four kingdoms. At Tala's urging, Kayana finally agrees to become Kahiki's ally, hoping to fulfill the ancient prophecy regarding the unification of the four kingdoms. Kayana and Kahiki then discuss the strategy against Oahu. Apparently, Kayana has chosen to be the war commander to minimize casualties. Kayana's troops will focus on capturing the Master in the temple, while Kahiki's troops will act as a diversion. As time passes, Kayana's troops arrive in the Ahu territory. They fight to eliminate Ahu soldiers on the way to the temple. While Kayana's troops are still fighting, Kahiki arrives early without Kayana's consent. Kahiki takes over the mission to capture the Master. In the process, Kahiki orders his troops to slaughter the temple guards.
That night, Kaheki manages to capture the king of Oahu, who had been controlled by the Master. Kaheki then executes the king, allowing him to take control of Oahu. Kayana objects to Kaheki's actions because their real enemy is the Master. Furthermore, Kayana is suspicious of why Kaheki suddenly ignored the Master's presence. From this, Kayana believes Kaheki manipulated him so he could seize the Oahu kingdom. Meanwhile, in Maui, a woman named Kahumanu, or Kahu, lives far from the crowds. Soon after, Kahu's mother secretly introduces her to Moku. It turns out Moku is Kahu's father, who is the chairman of the council in the Hawaii kingdom. Because of his feud with Maui, Moku first had to eliminate Maui soldiers so he could meet Kahu. Moku then urges Kahu to move to the Hawaii kingdom. The reason? Moku believes Kaheki's attack on Oahu will trigger a war, so Kahu must immediately leave Maui for her safety. At the end of the meeting, Moku states that he has arranged for Kahu to marry the Hawaiian chief so his daughter can live comfortably later. Returning to Oahu, Kayana leaves without permission with his family after feeling deceived by Kaheki. Before returning to Kauai, they plan to find Heki, Kayana's in-law who was left in Maui. A few hours later, Kaheki finally realizes Kayana's escape. By Kaheki's order, Kupule prepares to capture Kayana alive and bring him back. The next day, Kayana's family finds Heki is not there. Kayana then finds evidence that Heki is performing a god worship ritual in a known location. Soon after, Kupule's troops find Kayana's family, who are focused on searching for Heki. Kayana then leads Kupule's troops away so his family can continue searching for Heki. At the same time, a group of white merchants stops by the Maui territory to look for food. Meanwhile, Kahu consults with Taula in the midst of preparing to go to the Hawaii Kingdom. According to Taula's prophecy, Kahu will not be able to make the Hawaiian chief, her future husband, happy. As time passes, Kayana's family manages to find Heki safe. Now they wait anxiously for Kayana's return. Afterward, Kayana is attacked while trying to escape Kupule's troops. Kayana manages to escape by hiding in a cave. From there, Kayana coincidentally meets Kahu, who often visits the cave. For humanitarian reasons, Kahu helps Kayana hide until he recovers. When they start talking, Kayana asserts that he is trying to escape Kaheki because he no longer wants to serve him. Answering Kayana's question, Kahu finally reveals her true identity. It turns out Kahu's mother is the Maui chief, who is Kaheki's sister. Kahu was born from her mother's forbidden relationship with Moku, who is Maui's enemy. This is why Kahu kept her existence secret to avoid Kaheki's wrath. Kayana and Kahu finally become friends because they both oppose Kaheki. Kahu then offers Kayana and his family to join her to the Hawaii Kingdom so they can be safe from Kaheki's threat. Once the situation recovers, Kayana goes to meet his family with Kahu. On their way, they coincidentally meet a group of white merchants led by Captain Myers. Myers stops his subordinate, Marley, from shooting Kayana dead. Soon after, Kayana kills a Maui soldier who was about to attack Myers from behind. After letting Kayana and Kahu leave, Myers finds that the soldier had taken John's firearm, who is Myers' subordinate. After that, Kayana tells Kahu to meet his family first, because he needs to lead Kupule's troops away. While Kayana is still dealing with Kupule's troops, Kahu manages to find Kayana's family. Kahu returns Kayana's valuable belongings as proof that she came at Kayana's request. Just as Kahu is about to leave, John appears, lost after being abandoned by Myers' group. Kahu decides to take John with her because if John is captured by Maui soldiers, Kahu's existence could be exposed. At the same time, Kupule's troops manage to surround Kayana at the beach cliff.
Cornered, Kayana daringly jumps off the cliff, causing some of Kupule's soldiers to fall as well. Since witnessing this incident, Kupule believes Kayana is dead. That night, Kayana wakes up inside Mills' trading ship. Apparently, Mills saved Kayana as repayment because Kayana had protected Mills from the Maui soldier earlier. Kayana is surprised to learn that Mills' ship is leaving the Hawaiian Islands to continue its journey. 1 year later, Kayana is proficient in English and using firearms thanks to Mills' teachings. When Mills' ship anchors in Alaska, Kayana spends his time hunting wild animals. Time continues until Mills' ship sails towards Zamboanga. On the way, Kayana chats with Tony, his good friend and also a crew member. Tony tells Kayana that he will be taken home after Mills finishes his business in Zamboanga. Days pass until Mills' ship arrives in Zamboanga. Zamboanga turns out to be a colonial city in Spain. Mills goes there to deliver his goods. Afterward, Kayana walks around the city wearing traditional clothing. In this moment, many people feel unfamiliar with Kayana's appearance because at that time the world did not know about the existence of the Hawaiian Islands except for Mills' group. Soon after, Kayana visits a firearms shop to buy many rifles. Kayana ultimately fails to make the transaction because he doesn't have enough money. Moments later, Kayana meets a resident named Phi who is from the Hawaiian Islands. Answering Phi's question, Kayana admits he needs many rifles to correct his mistakes in the Hawaiian Islands. Phi agrees to help Kayana get the rifles on the condition that Kayana helps him. After that, Kayana introduces Phi to Mills. To gain a large profit, Mills agrees to partner with Phi in trading sandalwood from the Hawaiian Islands. Kayana also agrees to help facilitate this business so he can get the rifles Phi promised. Meanwhile, in Oahu, Kaheki still has not fully controlled the kingdom because there is still a rebellion. Subsequently, Kaheki executes a rebel's family as punishment. Switching to the Hawaii Kingdom, John is now an English teacher for the local residents. In the same kingdom, there is a man named Kame, or Kam, who is known to be very strong. After physical training, Kam is met by Moku. It turns out Kam is the chief whom Kehu is supposed to marry. After that, Kam meets the king of Hawaii, Kalani, whose life is nearing its end. Knowing Kam's cunningness, Kalani asks for Kam's strategy to protect the kingdom when Kalani dies. Kam's answer, he will increase the food stock because in the past, the Hawaii kingdom lost a battle because its soldiers lacked food. Sometime later, Moku tells Kehu that her wedding procession with Kam will soon take place. As usual, Kehu responds to this marriage negatively because she never wanted her father to arrange it. Now, according to Moku's belief, Kam is the figure of the great king prophesied to unite the four kingdoms. Knowing Kam trusts Kehu greatly, Moku asks Kehu to convince Kam that he is the prophesied great king. As time goes on, Kehu confesses to Moku the reason she opposes her marriage to Kam. Citing Tawala's prophecy, Kehu reveals that she will not be able to bear children for Kam because she is infertile.
Yet in the kingdom, the main duty of a wife is to give birth to heirs for her husband. This is why Kahu is reluctant to marry Kame. Moreover, Kahu feels insecure because Kame has other wives who are fertile. Surprisingly, Moku orders Kahu to keep her condition secret so his daughter can still marry Kame as planned. That night, Kahu and Kame undergo the wedding procession and they officially become husband and wife. As time passes, Moku receives news that King Kalani has died. Thus, Kalani's son Keva has the right to replace his father as king. Soon after, Kaheki finds out about Kalani's death thanks to information from his spies. Now Kaheki has a mission to conquer the Hawaii Kingdom because the Oahu Kingdom is fully under his control. In the middle of the briefing, some soldiers criticize Kaheki because he attempts to unite the four kingdoms through massacre. It turns out Kaheki intentionally killed many citizens of the conquered kingdoms so that Maui could become the dominant kingdom later. Returning to the Hawaii Kingdom, John approaches Kahu to remind her she is late for her English lesson session. Realizing Kahu's distress, John gives her advice so Kahu can sincerely accept her marriage. Still in the same kingdom, Kupuvohi talks to Namake, Kayana's unmarried brother. In this moment, Kupuvohi thanks Namake for faithfully accompanying her while her husband Kayana was away. Soon after, another of Kayana's brothers named Nahi tells his wife Heke about Kupuvohi and Namake's closeness. Nahi manages to find out that Namake secretly loves Kupuvohi. Except for Nahi, the family believes Kayana is dead because he hasn't returned. Because of this belief, Namake dares to approach Kupuvohi. After that, the authorities crown Keva as the new king, while Kame is selected as the war commander based on Kalani's testament. Keva then criticizes Kame's appointment because Keva feels the war commander position is his birthright. Now Keva intends to attack Kame to seize the war commander position regardless of the fact that Kame is his own cousin. Time continues until Moku tells Kahu about the potential for civil war between Kame and Keva. Moku then orders Kahu not to interfere in this matter for her safety. However, Kahu secretly defies her father's order because as a wife, Kahu wants to help Kame as much as possible. Kahu then meets Kame, who is in a dilemma about Keva's threat. Apparently, Kame worries that his conflict with Keva will bring down the Hawaii Kingdom. Kahu finally assures Kame that he will definitely be able to make the right decision to protect the kingdom. Time continues until Kame stands before his people. Thanks to Kahu's motivation, Kame is now ready to protect his district with full force if Keva starts attacking. Switching to Zamboanga, Fai informs Kayana that the rifles he ordered will soon be sent to Mur's ship. Fai then reminds Kayana that his duty in this business is to convince the chiefs to allow sandalwood harvesting. After that, Kayana beats a white merchant who sells his captives as slaves.
Kayana finally flees when Spanish soldiers try to arrest him for committing violence. While on the run, Kayana coincidentally meets Faye again. Faye asks Kayana not to worry too much about the human trafficking issue because the dirty business is common among white merchants. Faye finally urges Kayana to return to Mur's ship as soon as possible because Murs is about to sail to his destination. While there is still time, Kayana focuses on finding Tony, who suddenly disappeared. Based on information from Faye, Kayana enters the slave detention facility where Tony is suspected to be. During the search, Kayana was urged to eliminate the guards hindering his mission. Kayana then frees many slaves locked in cells. In this chaos, Kayana manages to find Tony, who is locked up in a weakened condition. It turns out Marley imprisoned Tony in the slave detention facility as revenge because Tony exposed Marley's dark secret. As time passes, Kayana and Tony successfully return to Mur's ship just as the crew prepares to start sailing. Tony then thanks Kayana profusely, saying that without Kayana's help, Tony would surely have become a slave. Soon after, Kayana and Faye talk about their respective families. It turns out Faye deeply regrets leaving his young child. That is why Faye will return to live with his child when he goes home to his village in Hawaii. As time passes, Mur's ship finally arrives in the Hawaii Kingdom territory. Afterward, Moku and the chiefs welcome the arrival of Kayana and Mur's merchant group. In the middle of the conversation, Moku criticizes Kayana's mistake that resulted in the Oahu Kingdom falling into Kaheki's hands.
This is why Moku is cynical towards Kayana. To clarify the situation, Kayana emphasizes that he returned to atone for his mistake. At the same time, Moku forbids Mir's merchant group from resting in the kingdom because in the past, the kingdom was attacked by white people.
Ultimately, Moku asserts that Kayana's fate will be determined by Kame's decision. After speaking with Moku, Kayana reunites with his family. Meanwhile, John also gets to meet Mir's merchant group again. John ultimately chooses to stay in Hawaii because he feels he is more useful there. Upon arriving at Kame's district, Kayana gets important information from Nahi and Namake. It turns out the council members of the Hawaii Kingdom now use English, so they cannot be spied on by enemies. Kayana then learns about the conflict between Kame and Kaikwa that occurred since Kame was appointed war commander. Namake assures him that Kame is a good person because he helped Kayana's family. Based on this, Kayana's family sides with Kame. However, Kayana believes the Hawaii Kingdom will easily be conquered by Kaheki if the major conflict between Kame and Kaikwa is not resolved soon. When attempting to meet Kame, Kayana is blocked by Moku and the council members. To change their negative perception, Kayana asserts that he is ready to help the kingdom fight Kaheki. Kahu also assures them that Kayana's ability will be a great added strength if he is accepted as Kame's ally. However, Moku and the council members feel Kame's ability is sufficient to overcome various threats because in their eyes, Kame is the figure of the great king prophesied. After that, John informs Kayana that Kahu wants to talk to him. At the beginning of the conversation, Kayana thanks Kahu for bringing his family to Hawaii to protect them from Kaheki. Conversely, Kahu also thanks him because she found a new zest for life thanks to Kayana's family. Kahu then assures him that Kame is a fair person. For that, Kahu believes Kame will be able to unite the four kingdoms according to ancient prophecy. At Kahu's suggestion, Kayana talks to Kame so he can get to know him better. From that, Kayana finally understands why people praise Kame. Kayana now states he is ready to serve Kame if needed. At the end of the meeting, Kame reveals that they will undergo a competition where Kayana will become a council member if he wins. That night, Nahi urges Kupuohi to end her affair with Namake. The reason? Kayana certainly does not want his family to be torn apart by infidelity. The next day, Kayana arrives at the competition site intended by Kame. Apparently, the competition is a traditional Hawaiian sport where participants slide down a steep track using a sled board. During the competition, several participants fall because they cannot control their fast movement.
Entering the final phase, Kayana wins while Kame finishes in second place. As agreed, Kayana and his family are now council members working for Kame. Afterward, Kayana successfully convinces Moku to visit Mir's ship. As soon as Kayana shows him many rifles, Moku is stunned because all the kingdoms have only relied on spears as weapons. Entering nighttime, Kaywa and his troops launch a guerrilla attack to damage important targets. The next day, it is revealed that the damaged facility belongs to Kame's people. Knowing Kaywa is the perpetrator of the facility damage, Kayana considers this action Kaywa's declaration of war against Kame. Therefore, Kayana finally urges Kame to immediately go to war against Kaywa. On the other hand, Kupuohi asks Kame to seek peace with Kaywa first because she does not want bloodshed. Kupuohi is also optimistic that she can convince Kaywa to make peace because Kupuohi is actually Kaywa's cousin. With careful consideration, Kame finally sends Kupuohi to negotiate peace with Kaywa. For security reasons, Kame orders Kayana to accompany Kupuohi. In the midst of preparations, Kayana takes time to meet Mirs. Here, Kayana assures Mirs that their sandalwood trade business will definitely run smoothly once the Hawaii Kingdom situation returns to normal. After the meeting, Kayana talks to Kahu. It turns out Kayana actually opposes Kame's and Kupuohi's decision regarding the peace effort with Kaywa. The reason? Kayana knew from the start that Kaywa prioritizes war. As time passes, Kayana and Kupuohi go to Kaywa's territory. Upon arrival, they finally meet with Kaywa and begin negotiations. Apparently, Kaywa will make peace with Kame only if Kame hands over his war commander position to Kaywa. Annoyed by this demand, Kayana points his firearm at Kaywa, hoping Kaywa will be afraid and agree to peace. However, Kayana's action actually pushes Kaywa further to fight Kame, and Kaywa ultimately rejects the peace proposal. Kayana finally leaves very upset because Kaywa dares to mock him by involving Kayana's late father. After that, Kaywa consults with his advisor. According to the advisor, Kaywa will lose the war against Kame because Kame's side has firearms provided by Kayana, which will be the source of Kaywa's defeat. To increase the chances of victory, the advisor suggests Kaywa ally with Kaheki, who coincidentally is ambitious to conquer the Hawaii Kingdom. When talking to Kaheki, Kaywa tells him about his conflict with Kame that causes division in the Hawaii Kingdom. Kaywa believes this division will make it easier for Kaheki to conquer the Hawaii Kingdom. Kaywa then promises to help Kaheki's mission to unite the four kingdoms only if Kaheki attacks Kame. Another condition, Kaheki must not disturb Kaywa's people once Kaheki achieves his goal. Since the alliance with Kaywa is profitable, Kaheki finally agrees to the deal.
Kaheki will immediately send his best troops to help Keiwa fight Kami. By Kaheki's order, Kupu meets Opu, a great soldier who often causes trouble. The next day, Kami and Kahu discuss Kayana's attitude. According to Kahu's assessment, Kami and Kayana are actually equally determined to achieve peace. The difference is, Kami tends to use subtle methods while Kayana views war as the solution. This difference makes it difficult for Kami and Kayana to unite. Ultimately, Kahu emphasizes that Kami's and Kayana's abilities are essential to protect the Hawaii Kingdom, despite their differences. On the other side, a ship led by Captain Simon is approaching the Hawaii Kingdom territory. Upon arrival, Simon's group secretly explores the Hawaii Kingdom's nature with Marley, who was previously a crew member of Mears. It turns out Simon came there based on information from Marley. Simon intends to seek large profits from Hawaii's natural wealth.
Meanwhile, Kame is holding a celebration ceremony for the birth of a chief's baby. On the other hand, this event reminds Kahu of her condition that she cannot have children. Soon after, Kame asks about Kahu's pregnancy status. To keep her condition secret, Kahu is forced to lie, stating that she might soon be pregnant with Kame's child. After that, Kahu accompanies Kayana in a meeting with his spies. According to the spies, Kiwa is always tightly guarded. As a result, Kayana deems it impossible to assassinate Kiwa. After the meeting, Kayana is confused by Kahu's attitude. The reason? Kahu always supports Kame's decision, but behind that, Kayana supports Kame's plan to go to war against Kiwa. Ultimately, Kahu emphasizes that Kayana's and Kame's expertise is very important to guard the Hawaii Kingdom, regardless of their differences. Time continues until Kame's soldiers manage to secure Simon's group. A few hours later, Simon's group is brought before Kame and other influential figures. To prevent conflict, Simon emphasizes that he only wants to trade fairly and has no malicious intent toward the Hawaii Kingdom. On the other hand, Moku asks Kame to be wary of white people like Simon's group, because in the past, the kingdom was attacked by white people. By Moku's order, Simon's group finally returns to their ship until they speak with Kame again. After that, Kame and Kayana discuss the possibility of trading with Simon's group. Kayana urges Kame to immediately drive away or kill Simon's group. The reason? Kayana already knows that white merchants are cunning and cruel. As proof, Kayana tells about Tony's condition, who was almost made a slave because of Marley. Kame finally still accepts Simon's group's presence, because Simon previously promised not to attack the kingdom. That night, Kayana's family and Tony discuss a new law created by Kame. According to the law, Hawaii Kingdom citizens can only kill if their lives are threatened. If they violate it, the citizens concerned will be executed. Furthermore, Kayana also mentions Simon's potential threat, believing Simon is not as good as he seems. Kayana finally works with Tony and Nanhi to launch an attack. After that, Kayana's group infiltrates Simon's ship while the crew is sleeping. Kayana then attempts to kidnap Marley with a threat of murder. Apparently, Kayana does this as a warning so Simon doesn't dare to cause trouble with the Hawaii Kingdom. Soon after, Kayana's group's actions are caught by Simon's crew. At the same time, Kame also arrives at the location, as if he already knows Kayana is there. Kayana finally leaves the ship and stops his action after receiving a warning from Kame. Simon finally does not object to Kayana's attack because Kame wants to establish good relations with Simon. After that, Kayana's group confronts Kame to explain their actions on Simon's ship. Kayana clarifies that he only wanted to protect the Hawaii Kingdom. On the other hand, Kame emphasizes that Kayana almost broke the law and would have been executed if he hadn't stopped his action earlier. At the end of the meeting, Kame reveals his plan to gently drive away Simon's group for the common good. But for Kayana, Kame's decision actually makes them seem weak. Afterward, Kayana accuses Namake of reporting to Kame, so Kame knew Kayana was on Simon's ship. Although Namake opposes Kayana's actions, he swears he did not report to Kame. To stop the argument, Kupawohi finally confesses that she was the one who reported to Kame. Kupawohi then emphasizes that she reported it to protect Kayana from the death penalty. The next day, John, as Kame's envoy, asks Simon's group to immediately leave the Hawaii Kingdom to prevent conflict. Despite their objection, Simon's group finally agrees to leave peacefully. But behind that, Simon has an evil plan to retaliate for his expulsion. After that, Kahu finds Kayana frustrated because Kame does not want to follow his suggestions, even though Kayana emphasized that his main goal is to protect the Hawaii Kingdom. Kahu asks Kayana to be patient, and Kayana now feels that only Kahu can understand him. Soon after, they see Simon's ship moving toward another area in the Hawaii Kingdom, so they immediately go to inform Kame. As time passes, Simon orders his crew to fire cannons at a coastal village in the Hawaii Kingdom.
As a result of this attack, many villagers die, including Val, who was a good friend of Kayana. Soon after, Simon drives Marley off the ship because he is no longer useful. Moments later, Kayana, who heard the cannon fire, finally goes to Val's village, which is heavily damaged by Simon's attack. Evacuation begins once Simon leaves the Hawaii Kingdom territory. In this situation, Kayana finds Val's body. After that, Kayana reports that the casualties from Simon's attack reached 248 people, while dozens are injured and in critical condition. Arguing fiercely with Moku, Kayana blames Kame's attitude, who prioritizes peace too much. According to Kayana's belief, Simon's attack would not have happened if Kame had been firmer. That night, Kame expresses his turmoil with Kahu. In this moment, Kame thinks it might have prevented Simon's attack if he had followed Kayana's suggestion from the start. On the other hand, Kayana plans to take his family back to the Kauai Kingdom. The reason? Kayana feels Kame no longer needs him. The next day, Kaywa orders Opu's troops to cut down trees in the sacred forest in Kame's territory. During the destructive act, Opu's troops manage to capture Nahi and his wife Heki, who happened to be there. As soon as Heki escapes, Nahi immediately attacks Kaywa and beats him up. Opu's troops do not interfere at Kaywa's request. As soon as he gets up, Kaywa fights seriously until he manages to corner Nahi. Soon after, Opu's troops manage to capture Heki. Kaywa finally kills Nahi brutally, deeply affecting Heki. Kaywa then asks Opu to return Heki alive so Heki can convey Kaywa's threat message to Kame. Time continues until Heki returns and tells Kayana about Kaywa's cruel action. After that, Kayana and Namake manage to find Nahi's body. Kayana cannot hold back his tears upon seeing Nahi's tragic condition. As part of the honor ritual, Kayana's family takes Nahi's bones and offers a prayer. Kayana, as the head of the family, then takes Nahi's bones to the cliff area and places them in a designated spot. At the end of the ritual, Kayana swears to avenge Nahi's death. Meanwhile, Kaheki is losing control because he feels his spiritual power is drastically decreasing. In this situation, Kupuwohi tries to calm his father, who seems to be going insane. Kaheki accidentally stabs Kupuwohi when he tries to fight back. As soon as he realizes his mistake, Kaheki is able to think clearly again and orders the healer to immediately treat Kupuwohi. The next day, Moku informs Kame about the murder of Kayana's brother by Kaywa. Moku then reports the alliance between Kaywa and Kaheki. From this, Kame is motivated to go to war against Kaywa to punish his crime. As time passes, Kayana's family plans to assassinate Kaywa to avenge Nahi's death. Soon after, Kahu urges Kayana to cancel the Kaywa assassination mission because the action is very dangerous for Kayana's family. A few hours later, Kupuwohi talks to Kame about the threat from Kaywa. Based on her knowledge, Kupuwohi believes Kame will not be able to defeat Kaywa because he has allied with a cruel ruler like Kaheki. However, Kupuwohi believes the situation can change if Kame cooperates with Kayana and uses firearms. That night, Kayana meets Kame to say goodbye. In this moment, Kame, who has reflected a lot, finally agrees to cooperate with Kayana so he can defeat Kaywa. Ultimately, Kayana also agrees to help Kame because he still wants to protect the Hawaii Kingdom.
The next day, Kayana teaches Kame shooting techniques with firearms. Kahu and Kupuwohi are happy because their encouragement successfully unites Kayana and Kame. As time passes, a chief visits Kiwa. It turns out the chief once committed a major betrayal and became Kiwa's great enemy. Now the chief wants to become Kiwa's ally in the war against Kame. At Kiwa's request, the chief finally removes some of his teeth to meet the requirement to become an ally. The next day, Kame holds a council meeting. In this opportunity, Kame appoints Kayana as the war commander, meaning Kayana will lead Kame's troops. This moment clarifies that what Kiwa actually wants to seize from Kame is not the war commander position, but the god of war position, which is now Kame's spiritual anchor. Still at the same event, Kame appoints Kahu as a council member, tasked with giving advice on the Hawaii Kingdom's issues. After the meeting, Kayana talks to Tony. Kayana informs him that Tony is now a citizen of the kingdom because he has contributed by training Kame's troops to use firearms. After that, Namake meets Kayana, who is preparing firearms. To prevent future conflict, Namake confesses his affair with Kupuwohi while expressing his regret. Namake clarifies that his separate relationship occurred because Kayana was missing for a long time, leading them to believe he was dead. Kayana finally tolerates Namake's betrayal because in the current situation, they must get along so they can focus on the upcoming war. On the other side, Kaheki breathes a sigh of relief because Kupula regains consciousness and his condition improves. Soon after, Kaheki hangs a man close to Kupula. The reason? The man secretly tried to overthrow Kaheki's power because he opposed Kaheki's massacres. At Kupula's insistence, Kaheki finally stops the hanging and the man is freed alive. That night, Kahu tries to calm Kayana, who worries about the war outcome. Apparently, Kame's troops are outnumbered by Kiwa's forces. Kahu asks Kayana to be optimistic because Kame's troops have firearms which are considered superior to traditional weapons. At the same moment, it is revealed that Kayana and Kahu actually love each other, but they decide to suppress their feelings to maintain the integrity of their respective families. Upon arriving home, Kayana tries to comfort Heki, who is still grieving Nahi's death. Heki finally states her desire to join the war so she can take revenge. The next day, Kame's troops begin war preparations.
A few hours later, Kame's troops and Kiwa's troops face off in the volcano area. It turns out the mountain is located in Kiwa's territory. Kame's troops use firearms as a surprise attack, which is then supported by traditional weapons attacks.
During the battle, Kayana brutally kills every enemy he faces. Kame also joins the fight to show his prowess as a warrior. As the war heats up, the mountain ground suddenly shakes. Soon after, Heike daringly fights Oppu to avenge his crime of molesting Heike. Of course, Oppu can easily stop Heike because he is much stronger. Just as Heike is cornered, Kahu shoots Oppu's leg with her firearm. Thanks to Kahu's help, Heike manages to get up and fight again. At the climax, Heike manages to finish off Oppu with a sharp weapon that Heike has poisoned. As evening approaches, Kupuohi is stabbed by a Kiwa soldier's spear. Soon after, the mountain round suddenly collapses, causing some of Kiwa's troops to fall into the magma area. As soon as there is an opportunity, Namake pulls the spear out of Kupuohi's body, hoping the action can save her. Amidst his continuously weakening forces, Kiwa finally faces Kayana. Just as Kayana prepares to shoot Kiwa dead, a magma burst suddenly sends them flying. Upon realizing Kiwa is dead, Kahu immediately panics and rushes to Kayana. Fortunately, Kayana is still alive, and Kahu is very grateful. Soon after, Moku catches Kahu and Kayana's romantic moment. Although very disappointed, Moku finally chooses to stay silent and leaves. After that, Kame's troops celebrate their victory over Kiwa's forces. Upon learning of this incident, Kaheki plans to gather a large force to conquer the Hawaii Kingdom. Kaheki is also ambitious to kill Kayana because he is Kaheki's biggest obstacle to uniting the 4 kingdoms in the Hawaiian Islands. And the series finally ends. So that's the entire plot of Chiefs of War episodes. Thank you very much for watching this plot recap, and see you in the next exciting movie plot.